New World currently has an exploit and play-to-player trading is disabled. Now, before I actually talk about this, I have to tell you that I have a financial interest now in New World actually doing well. And that's important because I may actually be biased, but I'll talk about that more towards the end. However, one obvious reason is this. When New World does well, I get more new YouTube members and I get a little bit more in ad revenue. And if New World does badly, that's obviously not going to be the case. But before we talk about that, let's have a look at this exploit. Let's talk about what they've done, how quickly they've reacted and stuff like that. And why this absolutely has to stop. So this is the post that was made about 13 hours ago, and we'll read the first bit. This afternoon, our internal alarms and a play report indicated a trading exploit that we have not seen before. We understand the root cause of the problem and we are working on a correction. While we address this issue, we are actively banning players we see engaging with the trading exploit. We have disabled play-to-player trading. Now, obviously, this is both good and bad in a way, and I'll explain in a moment. Let's just have a look at what they actually have now said in the more recent update. We are creating a build now with a fix. Bear in mind that we will have to test that build to ensure that there's no unintentional changes to be safe. And then, you know, it's the highest priority to get the trading back up and running. Now, I personally don't know what the exploit is. Nobody's told me. I've not checked it. I don't know. But there is a sort of good and a bad to this. The good is that they had these internal alarms and that they had something triggered that found this exploit as well. They were aware of it, which we've not seen that before from any of the previous exploits. So I think that's a good thing. It sounds like they really acted very quickly, and that's one thing we need to talk about here that's sort of positively. One, they had alarms, and two, they acted quickly. That's good stuff, right? Because exploits in games are not uncommon. Like, they happen rarely, but they do happen. And it's really about how you react, because I think in the past we've seen exploits that maybe it felt like they were quite slow, many hours before anything actually got changed. Here, it feels like they found it, they've disabled it, they're banning people who do it, and they actually found it themselves as well as that player report. So that's good, but we need it to stop. Brimstone Sands, 1 year anniversary, whatever you want to talk about, New World is at its peak that we've not seen for quite a while. New World is getting more eyes on it right now than we've had for some time. And that's actually probably why these exploits get found. Now that there's more players actually playing again, there's more people actively trying to exploit. That makes sense. But the optics on this and the timing of this is actually just really bad. It could have been worse. It might have been that as soon as they got all the press coverage and stuff like that, then it happened and everybody'd be like, haha, it's just the same old crap. However, thankfully it's happened a couple of days before. Hopefully people will forget about this. Obviously we need to stop them happening. The frequency's really not been that bad. We had some sort of when the game first launched. I think we had one in maybe about April and then one in the end of September. So the frequency has slowed down and I think that's positive, but we just need them to stop because a lot of people are talking about fresh servers and how there's no exploits and dupes and stuff like that. What's the point of having fresh if we can't guarantee that it will remain untainted? That's going to be a big question when something like this comes up. Now, I personally have faith that I think the impact of this exploit specifically probably quite minor just because of the speed that they've reacted and the fact that they also found it themselves. So I do think there are positives with it, but we just need it to stop. We're just like, it's just very disappointing. Like, I'm very sad about it. And as I said at the start, I almost didn't make this video. I almost didn't want to bring attention to it right now because New World is having a bit of a moment and it's having a bit of hype. Did I really want to be one of the people who are like, hey, look, something bad's happened? It was a tricky conversation with myself. I didn't have a conversation with myself. I just thought about it. And as I told you at the start, I have a little bit of a financial incentive. In the last couple of months, I think I've gained maybe like 10 YouTube members. Big shout out to you guys again, by the way. And the ad revenue, whilst not like something I'm going to retire off or I ever quit my job off or anything like that, I'm getting more ad revenue now in the last 28 days than I ever have done. My success on YouTube is slightly tied to the success of New World. That puts me as a bit of a liability and something maybe you can't trust me. I have an incentive to big up New World. And I'm not sure there's any way I can get around that. Maybe if enough of you become like YouTube members, maybe I can become like financially independent, but you know, whatever, I have a financial incentive and it's just something I'm going to tell you about whenever bad news happens or good news happens. It's not something I'd ever really thought about until this video. Thankfully, and hopefully you agree with me, I would rather put my ethics first, my morals first, and put my integrity before like my own financial incentive. That's more important. I used to say I always would call a spade when it comes to New World. When the game did something well, I'd call it out, and when the game does something bad, I would also call it out. It would be remiss of me to not do that when we have an exploit. And then I was like, well, what if I just make an excuse and the video won't do well? And I was like, man, you're going to go down madness. Let's just ignore what I'm doing, get you the news, you can all make your own opinion of it. I think that's more important, right? So yeah, I'm sad, I'm disappointed, a little bit angry about it just because of the timing. I don't want to have to do this video for the reasons I just mentioned as well, basically. But I tried to see the positives in it, in that the fact that they did react very quickly. They had their own internal systems. I think that's sort of just about good enough. Hopefully this doesn't overshadow Brimstone or the 1 year, whatever we want to call it, dev update. I still think this is okay. Like, I don't think it's that bad. I don't think the impact is going to be all that massive, but please, we just stop them. Somehow just stop them. And that's really all there is to say on the matter. If you want to help me become my financially independent best self, do try and become a YouTube member. It really would help. Thanks again to you guys. I do really appreciate it. Let me know your thoughts though on this issue. How bad of an impact do you think this will have? Are you confident that if you play on fresh, that the game will actually be perfectly fine and balanced? Big shout out randomly there to the spiffing Brit, I guess. Do let me know in the comments below though. What you should definitely do. Have the most beautiful day. Like and subscribe. Goodbye.